Welcome to part 4 of Let's Play the Seven Serpents by Steve Jackson. At the end of the last part, I was about to read paragraph 119. Here we go. The path winds tortuously through the forest. At one stage it skirts a hillock and the sound makes you stop. Some inner sense advises caution as you proceed and creep forward slowly around the hillock. On the far side is a wooden doorway. Sounds from within indicate that someone or something is definitely inside. Do you want to creep up to the door to see what is going on? Turn to 171. Or will you tiptoe past and continue along the path? Turn to 92. Okay, we're going to creep up to the door to see what is going on and turn to 171. Here we are. You cannot see anything through the door. You will have either to leave the area, turn to 92, or open the door, turn to 265. If you wish to enter, you may want to cast a spell first. Tell, 425, Dop, 469, Pop, 399, Zap, 409, Far, 354. Okay, we're going to open the door and turn to 265. Here we are. The door opens to allow you into a dark passageway. Following the passage downwards, you can eventually see a glowing light ahead of you, and you can hear voices. Will you creep along to the end to see what is happening, turn to 190, or draw your weapon and march on boldly, turn to 242. Okay, we're going to creep along to the end to see what is happening, and turn to 190. Here we are. At the end of the passageway, a small room is lit by a single candle standing on a wooden table. The candlelight reveals a murky room, but one used as a place of residence, judging by the furniture scattered about. Seated at the table is a spindly creature whose attention is focused on a glass orb standing on a plinth. The creature is mumbling something at the orb. Shapes and colours are swirling across its surface, but you cannot make out anything clearly. Will you politely disturb the creature to announce yourself, turn to 282, or draw your weapon and attack, turn to 29. Okay, we're going politely to disturb the creature to announce ourselves. So we're going to turn to 282. I think that picture corresponds to this paragraph. So there it is. Anyway, 282. Here we are. You are about to open your mouth to greet the creature when a squeaky voice breaks the silence. All right, it says. Don't stand there stammering like a half-orc with the jitters. Come in and sit yourself down. I'm busy, but I'll be with you in a minute. The voice is female. Perhaps this woman is an elf of some kind. She is engrossed in her glass orb, but in a few minutes she sits back and looks at you. So, a visitor, and a human too. I am Fenestra, elf sorceress. Now, I have an excuse for being here. This is my home, but you must be a long way from your home. What in Gred's name are you doing in this forest? She watches you intently as you explain your story, while being careful to leave out your true mission. Her eyes are too large for her face, and they seem to glow softly of their own accord. The whole effect is quite disturbing, but she listens attentively and appears genuinely interested in your travels. You may ask her a question now. Will you ask her whether she has any magic which might be of use to you? Turn to 234. Ask her how you may best cross Lake Ilklala, turn to 132, or make some comment about strange happenings to see whether you can steer the conversation towards the subject of the Seven Serpents, turn to 5. Okay, we're going to ask her whether she has any magic which might be of use to us, so turn to 234. So, you also use the mystic arts, she exclaims. Then we certainly do have much in common. You chat to her for some time, comparing spell notes. She has a good supply of spell artifacts, and she will exchange these with you. You must give her 2 items which are used in your spells, and will receive in return 1 spell artifact of your choice. She has all the items needed for the spells in the spell book. She is delighted to have found someone of similar profession. Turn to 183. Okay, we're going to give her 2 spell artifacts, and they are going to be some pebbles, I think. So, where are the pebbles? I'll have to do a search. Pebble. Okay, so we have 5 pebbles here. So let's give her 2 of them. So we have 3 left. There we go. Okay, that's good. And we're going to take some, we're going to take some sand, because sand is needed is needed for some spells in the spell book. So we're going to take some sand. So we have 2 lots of sand now, as opposed to 1. Anyway, we're now going to turn to 183. You are getting on well with her and decide to bring the conversation round to your mission. You ask her about the 7 serpents. She stops talking and looks at you, her eyes widening. What interest have you in the 7 serpents, she asks. Dare you risk telling her the truth? You decide to play safely and tell her you have heard they are and tell her you have heard they are about and you would like to set eyes on these infamous creatures. I can lead you to one of the creatures, she says, for I have a secret. I believe I can trust you with it. The 7 serpents are no friends of mine, for each time they fly out into Kakabad, they land in this forest, causing disturbances. The cursed water serpent killed my father during one such visit. This I shall never forget. My father did not know of its weakness, for the serpent of water cannot abide oil. Oil and water do not mix, and for this reason I have a plentiful store. For I will avenge my father, but let me show you what I have in my orb. Realizing that you have found a useful ally, you explain to Fenestra that you must kill these creatures. She smiles. Then take this flask of oil with you on your journey. Okay, so we have a flask of oil. Flask of oil. And may your goddess be with you if you meet the evil creature. She hands you a flask of oil and turns to the glass orb on the table. Then she smooths her hands over the surface, mumbling under her breath. A shape begins to appear in the orb. Your jaw drops as you make out the form of a winged serpent. Yes, she says, I have here the sun serpent, lured down from the skies with a rain spell. I offered it shelter, for the sun serpent cannot tolerate water, and magicked it into my orb. Eventually the water serpent will come looking for its companion, and when that happens I will be ready. Look, you can talk to the creature if you wish. She looks deep into the orb with a look of disgust on her face. You may now ask her for advice on crossing Lake Ilklala, turn to 132, or ask her for any other advice she may have on the serpents, turn to 76. Or you may leave and rejoin the path, turn to 92. Okay, so the sun serpent is right here in this paragraph, and it does end in 3. So we're going to subtract 14 from this and turn to 169. And then read that paragraph and then go back to 183. Okay, here's 169. You look into the orb and hold your serpent ring up to the trapped creature. A curse on you, human, it hisses. I am trapped, but I will be freed, and when I am, your journey will have been wasted. Again you hold up the ring and demand that the sun serpent reveals or rather demand that the Sun Serpent reveal its secret. Subjunctive. Anyway, I am compelled to give you one piece of advice, and this is it. Beware the breath of the mucolytics. But I will tell you no more. Return to 183. Can't seem to speak or read properly today. Anyway, my apologies for that. Anyway, beware the breath of the mucolytics or mucolytics? Did I read that wrong? Because my notes say mucolytics. Yeah, that's mucolytics, so my notes are wrong. So that should be mucolytics. That wasn't the mistake. Okay, so information. Beware the breath of the mucolytics. Whoops, lytics. There we are. Okay, so what are we going to do now? Oh yeah, we also need to add a note that the Sun Serpent is trapped. The Sun Serpent, whoops, it should be capitalized. Sun Serpent is trapped. There we go. Okay, we're now going to ask her for advice on crossing Lake Ilklala, and therefore turn to 132. Crossing Ilklala, she asks. It can be crossed, but only if you are able to summon the ferry master. I have here a whistle which you may blow to call him. For this whistle I will ask only 2 gold pieces, or I will exchange it for anything you may have which will be useful to me. You may exchange any of your spell artifacts for the whistle, but she is not interested in any non-magical items. Exchange if you wish, and then turn to 324. Okay, we're going to take the whistle, but we're going to give her some stone dust as a payment. So, where's the stone dust? Oh no, here we are. No, that's a vial of dust. I don't know where the stone dust is. Okay, let's just say we have the whistle first, and then let's find the stone dust. Stone dust. There it is. Okay, so I have 2 lots of stone dust. Now I have only 1, so let's put that down to 1. That's good. Okay, and then we're turning to 324. So we have the whistle, and we lost a stone dust. So we're turning to 324 now. Before you leave, Fenestra offers to help you by giving you a gift. She can offer a medicinal potion, turn to 296, a lucky charm, turn to 195, a calling whistle, turn to 221. You may choose one of these. Turn to the reference indicated to find that item's effect. Turn also to 221 if you collected a whistle earlier from Fenestra. Okay. Okay, we're going to take a lucky charm, so we're going to turn to 195. As we also took the whistle, we need to turn to 221 as well. I can't remember the previous paragraph, so lucky I remembered that. Anyway, 195. The lucky charm is a small golden snake which can be hung around your neck. In fact, it is a particularly useful piece in that it will restore your luck to its initial level, but once only. You may either wear it now to restore your luck immediately, or save it until you feel it would be more useful. But once you have used it, it will not work again, although its gold content is worth 1 gold piece to you. Now turn to 92 to leave the elf's home. Okay. So we have a lucky charm. So lucky charm worth 1 gold piece, and it will restore luck to initial value once. Okay, we're also turning to 221 to find out about the whistle as well. So let's do that now. This whistle summons the ferryman of Lake Ilklala. Fenestra tells you how it works. The ferryman patrols the lake shore every morning, and you will attract his attention by blowing this whistle. First thing in the morning, you may blow this whistle by turning to reference 199 if you are on the shores of Lake Ilklala. You thank Fenestra for the whistle and leave her home to rejoin the path. Turn to 92. You may add 3 luck points for finding this whistle. Okay, which I don't need. Okay, so the whistle means we turn to paragraph 199 when on the shores of Lake Ilklala. Okay. So whistle, turn to paragraph 199 when we're on the shores of Lake Ilklala. There we go. That's it. Good. Okay, that's that. Okay, now we're turning to 92. A little further along, the path divides into 3. Will you take the left-hand path, turn to 244, the right-hand path, turn to 274, or the centre path, turn to 146? Okay, we're going to take the centre path and turn to 146. You reach a clearing where you can stop to rest and eat. If you wish to take provisions here, you can add 2 stamina points if you have not yet eaten today, or 1 stamina point if you have already had a meal. When you have finished, turn to 20. Okay, whoops, didn't mean to do that. We're going to take a meal and we're going to turn to 7. That puts our stamina back up to 21. There we go. That's the first meal of the day, I think. Actually, no, that was the second meal of the day. My apologies. Yeah, so only 1 stamina point increase. I think that was the second meal of the day. Anyway, yeah, so only 1 stamina point increase. Anyway, so turn to 20. Very difficult to follow that. Anyway, especially when I, stop recording and then start recording again a couple of days later. Anyway, paragraph 20. You collect your things and leave the clearing. For several hours you follow the path through the woods, but you are aware that the forest is thinning. You must be nearing the edge, which means that you will soon be able to see the waters of Lake Ilklala. It is early evening when you eventually reach the shores of the Great Lake. You look out across the vast expanse of still water which stretches to the horizon, and your heart sinks. How will you cross the lake? There are no signs of people or boats as far as you can see. You sit down to consider the problem. You might as well camp here for the night and make your plans in the morning. You may eat provisions if you wish. If you do, add 2 stamina points if this is your first meal today, or 1 stamina point if you have already eaten. Then you can settle down to sleep. Turn to 264. Okay, we're not going to eat here. And we're going to turn to 264. Here we are. You awake early the next morning. If you did not eat at all yesterday, you must deduct 3 stamina points for your lack of food. I did eat yesterday, so that's fine. What have you decided to do about getting across the lake? Will you follow the shoreline looking for signs of life? Turn to 241. Call out to see whether you can attract someone's attention, turn to 57, or wait to see whether any help might arrive, turn to 233. Or we can use the whistle that we got and turn to 199, which is what we're going to do. Here we are. Ooh, what a rough character he seems. Anyway, after packing up your camp, you pull out the little whistle and blow. No sound comes from it. You shake it vigorously and blow again, but there is still no sound. But it is not broken. It emits a high-pitched whistle, silent to the ears, but which can be heard by the ferryman. A few minutes later, he comes stumbling out of the undergrowth. All right, hold your horses, I'm coming. What's your rush? He is a scruffy, unwashed individual, somewhat overweight, but with a broad pair of shoulders. Right then, he says, scratching himself across the chest. Where to? You tell him you wish to cross the lake, whereupon he bursts into laughter, slapping his knees with his hands. Of course you wants to cross the lake, he laughs. Everyone wants to cross the lake. But I still asks, where to anyway? Just my little jest. Right then, that will be 4 gold pieces. In advance, if you don't mind. Will you pay the man his fee, turn to 110, or if you haven't that much money, try to fight or trick him, turn to 49. Okay, there he is. Okay, we're going to pay him his fee and turn to 110, so that's minus 4 gold pieces. Puts us down to 39. Okay, so now we're turning to 110 because we paid him his fee. He disappears into the undergrowth and reappears a few moments later dragging a heavy boat. Give me a hand, idiot, he barks, and together you pull the boat into the water and climb in. He throws you the oars and snaps. Take the oars, fool, and start rowing. Somehow his manner has changed and his tone is more aggressive. Will you do as he says, turn to 293, or are you not going to take orders from someone whose job it is to row you across, turn to 223. Okay, we're not going to take orders from him, and therefore we're going to turn to 223. Here we are. With your hand on your weapon, you order the ferryman to take the oars himself. You are not going to row his boat. You turn angrily towards him, but stop in mid-sentence as you see a transformation taking place. Before your eyes, the ferryman is shrivelling as if the air were being let out of a balloon. From his collapsing form, a jet of gas rises into the air, swirling round and forming the shape of a winged serpent. Will you draw out your weapon, turn to 261, or cast a spell? Zap, 363, Kin, 419, 6, 482, Dumb, 464, Huff, 350, or will you instead investigate the body of the ferryman, turn to 21. Okay, first of all, this is the air serpent, and the paragraph ends in a 3, so we're going to subtract 14 from this and turn to 209 first. Let's see what this is. So you have the serpent ring, Alalander, the air serpent hisses. If such be the case, I am bound by its power to aid you with advice, but even the serpent ring will not protect you from my wrath. Very well. In the dark chamber of night, do not light your way with the blood candle. Such is my advice, but it will be of no use to you, for these next few moments will be your last on this earth. Now return to 223 and choose your next course of action. Okay, so we need to add a note, do not light your way with the blood candle. So do not light our way with the blood candle. Now turn to 223. Okay, what are we going to do? We're going to investigate the body of the ferryman and turn to 21. As you bend down towards the old ferryman, the swirling air serpent becomes agitated and darts about quickly, trying to fix itself around your face. Its choking gas will harm you if you breathe it in for any length of time. Poking through the ferryman's clothes, you find a shriveled snakeskin, and as you pick it up, the serpent rises into the air as if in terror. An unearthly voice cries out, ordering you to put the skin back. What will you do? Will you replace the skin on condition that the serpent leave you alone, subjunctive, turn to 131, or will you rip it apart, turn to 34? Okay, we're going to rip it apart and turn to 34. Gripping the two ends of the snakeskin, you firmly snap them apart. A loud cry comes from the serpent, which now hangs in the air, separated into two parts. You rip up the halves until they remain as small flakes of skin. Above you, the serpent has been similarly dispersed. All that remains are puffs of smoke, which are soon scattered by the wind. You have found the air serpent's weakness. Turn to 213. Okay, so we've defeated the air serpent. Let's make a note of that. So we have defeated, or rather we've defeated the air serpent. There we go. And now we're turning to 213. Having rid yourself of the air serpent, you set off. You take the oars of the boat and row yourself across the great lake. The going is not easy, as the water is thick and heavy. In the centre of the lake, you stop. Several yards ahead of you, the water is bubbling up. Do you wish to see what this bubbling is, 10 to 28, or will you steer a wide course around to avoid it, 10 to 36? Okay, we're going to see what the bubbling is, and turn to 28. Oops, wrong way. Okay. You take the boat carefully up to the disturbance to see what is happening, but you can see nothing. Perhaps this is simply a natural occurrence where an underground spring or air passage breaks through the bed of the lake. You shrug and sit down again, ready to take the oars. Suddenly, the boat lurches violently in the water. The bubbling has moved and is now directly under the boat. You are thrown from your seat and must test your luck. If you are lucky, turn to 118. If you are unlucky, turn to 281. Okay, so let's test our luck. I have it on good authority that if we're unlucky, we're dead. So let's test our luck. Our luck is currently 12. So we need this dice roll to be 12 or lower, which it's guaranteed to be. But we need to lose a luck point. That other luck charm we have only doesn't lose a luck point if we're unlucky. So we were lucky, so we still lose a luck point. Anyway, let's remove some buzzing, should there be any. On my old computer, my previous computer, it used to start buzzing, which was quite annoying. Anyway, we were lucky, so we're turning to 118. Desperately, you grab at the side of the boat, and in the nick of time, you find something onto which to hold. Now, the boat tosses about for a short while, then steadies itself. The waters go calm. An unnatural stillness hangs in the air. You have the feeling that something even more dangerous is about to happen. Turn to 303. Okay, 303. Without warning, the bubbling starts again, this time on the port side of the boat. Breaking through the surface of the water, a shape rises into the air. A snake-like coil rises from the lake on watery wings and hovers, dripping, in the air. This creature is made from water itself, and it glares down at you, ready to strike. Will you cast a spell? Wok, 436. Thoth, 493. Raz, 414. Mud, 473. Or Hot, 385. Or will you fight it another way? Turn to 172. Okay, we are going to... first we're going to realise this is a paragraph ending in 3, and this is the water serpent, so we're going to subtract 14 from this and turn to 289. So 289, here we are. The serpent ring, hisses the creature. Its power will not save your life, Analander, but I am bound by its power to aid you. I will tell you this. Pay respect to Nagamante, the torture master, should you meet him, but that is all I am bound to tell. Now return to 303 and choose your next course of action. Okay, so let's write that down. So, pay respect to Nagamante, I think that's how we spelt it, the torture master when or if we meet him. Okay, good. Now we're turning back to 303. Here we are. Okay, so what are we going to do? We are going to fight it another way and turn to 172. You may either draw your weapon and battle the creature, Water Serpent skill 10, stamina 11, or you may look through your backpack for something to use, turn to 245. If you choose to fight the serpent and you win, turn to 75. Okay, we're going to look through our backpack for something to use and turn to 245. Here we are. What will you find to use in your backpack? A flask of oil, turn to 14. A lucky talisman, turn to 278. Snake bite antidote, turn to 81. If you have none of these, you must return to 303 and make another choice. Okay, we're going to use the flask of oil because remember, someone, the elf or whatever, said oil and water don't mix or whatever. So flask of oil, where was that? There it is. So let's put used because we've now used it. And let's turn to 14 to use the oil. Here we are. You reach for the flask and wait for the serpent to attack. It circles in the air and dives down at you. You duck quickly and, as it flies overhead, you shake out the contents of the flask at the creature. You watch in amazement as the oil takes effect. Before the creature can even utter a sound, the oil has broken it up into harmless splashes of water, which now rain down on the lake. You have defeated the water serpent, turn to 75. We've also polluted the lake a bit. Anyway, I hope it's organic oil and not mineral oil. Anyway, so turn to 75. Oh yeah, and we've defeated the water serpent. So we've defeated the water, capitalized, water serpent. There we go. And let's turn to 75. Okay, last paragraph. You catch your breath for a few moments, then set off towards the north shore of the lake. Half an hour later, you are pulling the boat up onto the marshy shore. You have crossed the lake, turn to 147. Okay, and that's where we're going to leave it. So 147 is the next paragraph. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this part, and in the next part we will carry on. I should be able to finish the book in the next part because, according to my notes, we're done with. Obviously we're done with the lake, but there's only one more part to explore, and then that's the end of the book. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this, and goodbye.